kind of had some close games, particularly Cincinnati Claremont. They struggled to put away Albany Pharmacy, but they defeated the defending national champion Lady Panthers. So again, yeah, this is a game that both the Lady Mustangs and the Lady Cougars expect to be playing in. They had anticipations to play on Saturday. Right now they've realized it, and now one team is just 40 minutes away from a national championship.
Central Maine Community College out of Auburn, Maine. The Mustangs come in with a record of 25-2, and they are the 1 seed. The University of Cincinnati Claremont Cougars are from Batavia, Ohio. They come in with a record of 21-9, and both teams come in hot, especially Central Maine, who really pulled off a couple of very strong wins. Yesterday they took care of Berkeley fairly handily. It was an 8-point lead, but the issue was never really in doubt. They beat Warren Wilson in round 1, 79-58. As you said, Cincinnati Claremont struggled a little bit more. They had an easy go of things against Maine Augusta in round 1, 74-45. Really struggled to put away Albany yesterday. Won it on a last-second free throw. 67-66 was the final in that game. But I think today they're hoping to bottle that magic that they had against the state of Maine from round 1. And you saw that game right up close. What do you think they need to do the same thing today against Central Maine?
Well, I think part of the reason they were so successful against Maine Augusta was no fault of their own, or nothing they could control. The fact that the Lady Moose only had 7 available players. Obviously, Albany Pharmacy has a lot more available players. Central Maine has a lot more available players. So it's going to be a new environment for Cincinnati Claremont. But they've already shown that they can go toe-to-toe and back and forth with a strong opponent such as Albany Pharmacy. And for Central Maine, they only faced 7 players from Berkeley, New York in the semifinal last night. So this is a new experience, or different from last night for the Lady Mustangs as well.
Well, before we get you the entire starting lineups, let's take a look at maybe some key players to watch, starting with Central Maine. Susie French has been their star, averaging 21 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 5 assists per game, as well as 4 steals. Cincinnati Claremont has been led by Stacy Lee, 15.5 points, 13.5 rebounds per game. We'll get you the entire starters after the national anthem, but right now, why don't we pause for a moment while we honor America.
USCAA hero, as well as a national hero. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise and move your taps as we honor America and the troops who fight for our freedom with the singing of our national anthem by Mr. Christian Sessick. And also presenting the colors are the Lowell Highlands Air Force Junior ROTC.
A stirring rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner gets things started on this Saturday afternoon. One champion has already been crowned here at Penn State Fayette, and we're about to see number 2. It's going to be Central Maine against Cincinnati Claremont. Let's take a look at the starting lineups. First for the team that will be viewed as the visitors on the scoreboard, the University of Cincinnati Claremont Cougars. Both of these lineups are guard heavy, and Mike Matthews' squad will line up with 4 in the backcourt, including 5'7" senior Ashley Keith out of Cincinnati. Maggie Malone is a 5'6" freshman from Fort Thomas, Kentucky. Dana Finney, a 5'4" junior from Cincinnati. Tesh Janicki is a 5'8" junior from Bethel, Ohio. And the center at 6'1", a senior from Westchester, Ohio, Stacy Lee. Central Maine as well will have 4 guards in the lineup, including Gabby Foy. Foy is a 5'6" freshman from Wilton, Maine. Maggie McConkey is a 5'6" sophomore from Freiburg, Maine. Hannah Champagne stands at 5'5", a freshman from Lisbon, New Hampshire. Susie French at 5'11" is a sophomore from Greenland, New Hampshire. And the center is Laura Suey. Suey is a 6'1" sophomore from Bremen, Maine. Central Maine is coached by Andrew Moran. We're just moments away from tip right now. Matt, what are your keys to today's game?
Well, I think it's very similar to what we saw earlier today, the Division I championship. Whoever establishes more momentum in the first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes of the game, because we saw the earlier game today, Division I, between Concordia and Robert Morris Springfield. Robert Morris led for nearly all the first half. Concordia was able to get a bucket to go on top into the locker room at halftime, and they did not relinquish the lead. They did give up a tie, but they never trailed at all in the second half, and they rode that to a 9-point win. So I'm going to be most interested in whoever gets the early dominant possessions throughout the contest.
Well, one advantage that we can already see on the court right now for Central Maine is the crowd that is going to be in their favor. They had the luxury of having their men's team also in the tournament. They were eliminated by Penn State Beaver in the first round, but the men have stayed to cheer on the women's team. Cincinnati Claremont, unfortunately, didn't have a men's team in the tournament, so their ranks will be a little bit thinner in the stands. We'll see if Central Maine can ride that wave a little bit of some of the emotion in the stadium. That certainly could play a factor later on. And I know you've seen it as well as I have. Over the course of this tournament, Central Maine has kind of been the talk of the tournament, both the men's and the women's team. They've had some big party atmospheres at their games.
They have, and the men's team were definitely out the vocal advantage last night in Central Maine ladies. Their semifinal against Berkeley, New York, they definitely certainly got in the heads of the Berkeley Lady Knights at points during the game. We'll see if they can affect the tempo that UC Claremont likes to run.
Yesterday, UC Claremont opened up a big lead in the first half over Albany College of Pharmacy. They ended up losing a 13-point halftime lead, having that game tied up before winning in the final seconds on a free throw. Maine didn't struggle as hard, but they did play a late-night game yesterday. These two games yesterday began at 7 and 9, respectively. So both teams working on rather short nights. And one thing I noticed during our Division I basketball championship, which was Concordia against Robert Morris Springfield, the Central Maine girls were in attendance at that game. They have seen firsthand already today the winning of a championship. Cincinnati Claremont was not in the building to witness that. I don't know if that really means anything as far as the way this game is going to end up, but it certainly shows different mentalities in this team. Cincinnati Claremont kind of in their own world, getting themselves prepared for today's game, whereas Central Maine was involved in the heart of things, witnessing a championship and probably visualizing the way that would feel for them later in the day.
Absolutely, and you brought up a great point. It's been well less than 24 hours since Central Maine had their semifinal against Berkeley, New York. Is that going to be an impact as far as fatigue goes? You figure maybe not, because of all the hype, the pressure you get, that pressure that's off your back from winning the semifinal, and then just sitting around the gym and watching the Division I championship. Who knows? Central Maine might be able to have that work to their advantage tonight.
Well, you would hope at this point for both teams that their adrenaline can take over and carry them through this game, but you never quite know when you have a tournament like this in which you have to play 3 games in 3 days. Certainly the blowout wins in the first round for both of these teams were helpful in that they were able to rest some of their starters a little bit in the second halves of those games on Thursday. But we'll see if fatigue plays a factor for either side going forward. Claremont is already on the floor. That's big number 55, Stacy Lee, in the midcourt circle, getting ready for the opening tip. Claremont wearing their visiting black uniforms for the first time in this tournament today. They'll be moving from left to right on your computer screens in the first half of tonight's contest. Central Maine is wearing their home whites, as they have had the luxury of doing this entire tournament as the 1 seed. They'll be moving from right to left on your screens in the first half. Stacy Lee and Laura Suey are set. The pair of 6'1" centers ready for the tip at the center court circle, and we are underway. The tip won by Stacy Lee, and it's tapped right back into her hands. It will be Cougars basketball to start things off, and they'll have the opportunity to score first. Bounce pass inside. Ashley Keith turnaround jumper is good. Great start for the Cougars, and Ashley Keith, their leading scorer during the season. Averages just over 15 points per game, and she's had a strong tournament as well. On the other end, this is Susie French trying to get it inside to Suey, but jumping in front of it, Dana Finney starts the break for the Cougars. Keith ahead on the pass. Outside now to Finney. Finney gets it up top to Stacy Lee. Into Keith, posting up once again. Into the corner, three-pointer is short from Maggie Malone, and Central Maine gets the rebound.
I like the start here from Cincinnati Claremont. Quick aggression and quick defensive physicality allows Finney to force that turnover that led to the opportunity. Unfortunately, didn't go down for the Cougars, but now Central Maine with the chance to tie.
Gabby Foy jump stop inside, passes it out. Now Susie French will try the three, and just a little bit short. Rebound goes to Stacy Lee. Lee lobs it ahead, trying to start the break. Malone to the hoop. She misses on the layup, too hard off the glass, but Dana Finney battles for the rebound and wins it for the Cougars. Fast break didn't go their way, but they retain possession. Finney up top to Malone, and they'll reset the offense. 12 on the shot clock. The initial layup did not hit the rim. Ashley Keith drives from the right side into the lane, kicking it out. Three-pointer for Jenicky. No good that time. Excuse me, that was Malone. She misses on the three. Still 2-0. 18 and a half to go first half.
So Keith averaging 14 points a game. She's a third leading scorer this tournament, at least.
Foy misses on the open three, and the ball bounces up over the backboard out of bounds.
Stacy Lee comes into today's championship game the leading scorer in 2 games for the Cougars, averaging 15 and a half points, while Susie French averages 21 for the Lady Mustangs in their 2 wins earlier this week.
Couple of star players, one a senior, one a sophomore. Stacy Lee has turned up her game in the tournament. She was the team's 3rd leading scorer during the season. She's their number 1 scorer during the last 2 days. With 17 on the shot clock, this is Keith on the right side throwing it away. She was looking for Finney. Finney was cutting. Keith didn't expect her to, and it flew out of bounds.
And it would only make sense for Lee. This is her senior year. This is her final collegiate basketball game with the University of Cincinnati Claremont. She's determined to make it count.
At the top of the key, it's McConkey for the Mustangs. Off to French, inside Suey. Posting up on Lee, can't get it up over her. No good on the shot, and Lee down with the rebound. That's going to be tough going today for Suey against Stacy Lee inside. We saw Albany Pharmacy have all kinds of trouble in the paint yesterday. Here's a drive from Jenicky. Free throw line jumper, no good. And it's rebounded by Central Maine. Slow going offensively in the first 2.5 minutes. The Mustangs are still looking for their first points. Inside to Suey. Lee guarding her again. This time around Lee. Suey gets to the hoop and scores the first 2 points of the game for Central Maine. Same play essentially that they tried last time, but that time Suey made a nice under move. And now we're going to get a blocking foul. First foul of the game. This one called on Central Maine, and it's on Maggie McConkey. Her first, naturally. 17-13 to go in the half.
First foul of the game. That's McConkey, who did pick up a technical foul in the semifinal game yesterday against Berkeley, New York. She did not pick up a second, so she was not ejected.
Maggie Malone bounces into the corner. Stacy Lee had the ball thrown off of her foot by Jenicky, but right back to Jenicky. Possession remains alive for the Cougars. 13 on the shot clock. Finney loses it, knocked away by Foy. Loose ball picked up by Malone. 9 to shoot. Malone drives up with the runner. No, but a foul.
Plenty of fans here from both schools. Obviously, Central Maine, you would want to give them the advantage because they have the men's team in attendance as well as a lot of parents and fans. But the University of Cincinnati Claremont has a healthy contingent as well.
If this one is tight down the stretch, it should get good in the crowd as well. They have made some noise for their teams over the course of this tournament. Maggie Malone makes the first free throw, 3-2 Claremont. Malone has her first point.
Malone, a freshman from Fort Thomas, Kentucky, averaging 13 and a half points.
She's got 2 today as she knocks down both free shots. Central Maine basketball. They haven't gotten into their offensive rhythm quite yet. A big contrast to the last 2 days when they were off to quick starts in both games. Three-pointer for Foy is good. Central Maine has their first lead at 5-4. Against the full court press, they get it into Keith. Keith right back to Malone, and Malone will race across the timeline. Bounce to Finney. She had an open look, passed on it, drives the baseline instead. Reverse layup, no good. French may have gotten her hand on that one for the block. Ahead to Foy. Mustangs will slow it down. Foy on the left wing, a deep three ball, in and out. Looked like she may have had two in a row. Didn't quite go for her. Another rebound for Stacy Lee.
And that was a good look from Foy, good trajectory, just very unlucky.
Keith's layup no good on a strong drive, and Sui comes down with the rebound. Just under 16 minutes to play. First half here in the championship game. French from the foul line knocks down the jumper, and she has her first 2 points. Timeout called by Claremont, a 30-second timeout. That was really the first time today that Susie French has had a good touch on the offensive end, and she is the straw that stirs the drink for the Mustangs. If she can get going, it could be a long day for the Cougars in trying to stop her. Susie French came in averaging 21 points in the tournament, just a shade under that over the course of the season, averaging 19.5 points. She's also the team's second leading rebounder this season. She averages better than 5 steals per game. Susie French, Matt, is just a really strong player.
She has, and there's a reason she averages 19.2 points per game coming into these national championships, because she is that much of an impact setter. That's the most accurate way I could use to this. That's the most accurate way I can describe her. Just that presence she has on the floor, the authority that she's able to command on the court.
Maggie Malone breaks the press, lobbing it across to Finn. Kelsey Finn just checked into the game. Claremont's first substitution. Samantha Bruce is out there for the Mustangs, as is Jasmine Ramos. First subs that they've made today. Off to the right side, Malone, pump fake. Now she'll take it to the floor. Inside to Stacy Lee, and Lee finishes from the left block. 1 point game once again as we approach the 15-minute mark. Pass into the corner, out of bounds, overthrown. And it's a turnover for the Mustangs. Looking for Samantha Bruce that time. The pass came from Lexi Larson, a freshman from Milo, Maine. Off the mark. 4 out of 5 players have been changed for Central Maine since the last time out. Kelsey Finn on the right wing, just outside the three-point line, passes across to the left. Crossover from Malone, out to Finn. Inside the perimeter, pass into the corner. Stacy Lee hits from the baseline. Stacy Lee has 4 straight points for Claremont, and the Cougars are back in front. 8-7 our score. Central Maine basketball still early here in the national championship game. This is Bruce giving it up to the right side, and Hannah Champagne. Now into the corner. Sui will try a jumper over the outstretched arm of Stacy Lee. Back in the hands of Central Maine now goes the lead. Central Maine sticking with that full court press. They haven't been able to force a turnover with it yet, but trying to wear down the black shirts. Drive from Finn and a block for Sui. Here come the Mustangs. This is Larson pulling it up and letting her offense set up in front of her.
And that's going to be a fun battle, seeing Lee and Sui both down in the post on defensive ends. We might have a running contest going to see who gets the more blocks tonight.
Sui doesn't quite have the size of Stacy Lee, but she's not far off, and a very skilled player down low as well. Here's Ramos cutting past Lee and to the hoop for the layup. 3-point lead for Central Maine. This match is their largest of the game at 11-8. Stacy Lee to Malone, and Malone will break the press across to Ashley Keith. Keith crosses over to the left to drive, and a pass inside to Finn, wide open underneath. Finn with a strong finish.
Great separation by Finn. Easy for Keith to find, and she really had the rest of the month of March to finish that way in.
Central Maine clutches a 1-point lead now, trying to extend it. It's Larson getting the pass from Bruce. Bounced towards Ramos, deflected, but Ramos held on. Inside for Sui, and Lee jumps the passing lane and intercepts it. Sui picks up the frustration foul, and that will lead to our first media timeout here in the first half. Great action so far, 11-10. Central Maine has the lead. We'll take a quick break. You're watching live coverage of the 2014 USCAA Basketball National Championships hosted by Penn State Fayette on the Turbo Sports Group Network. Players take the floor for both sides. Finn, Malone, Lee, and a couple of newcomers, Erica Stutz, on the floor for Claremont, and Ashley Keith. A couple of starters back on the floor for Central Maine. Susie French and Maggie McConkey are out there, along with Gabby Foy. Ramos remains on the floor, as does Samantha Bruce. It is Cougars basketball coming out of the timeout. Just over 13 minutes to play in the first half. Ashley Keith across the timeline, passes to the right side. Malone on the drive, taking it to Bruce, throws it up, and draws some contact. Maggie Malone to the free throw line. She's already hit a couple from there today. That is Samantha Bruce's first foul. It's the 4th on the team. Claremont has yet to pick up a foul. 7 minutes in. Malone misses on the first free throw this time around. She's 2 of 3 for the day. She can tie the score with this one. She misses them both, and the rebound goes to Jasmine Ramos. Mustangs on the move. There is a hobbled player on the far side of the floor. It's Gabby Foy limping off the court. And that will cause a brief stoppage as Foy is able to take herself off the floor. I think something happened with her foot. Looks like she's adjusting her shoe. She will sit out for the time being. And replacing her is Jamie Stewart. Just a short stoppage. We're able to continue now. And Maggie McConkey, the point guard from Freiburg, Maine, takes over for the Mustangs. McConkey on the right wing. Into the corner, lobbed inside for French against a double team. French to the hoop. Yes, over Keith. Nice move. Susie French.
French already making her presence felt with now 4 points now to pace the Mustangs.
Maggie Malone drives, her layup, no good. Rebound goes to Bruce, but now we're going to get a tie-up as Malone reaches her hand in and forces the held ball with Samantha Bruce. It will go to Central Maine, but the possession arrow now flips to the other side. Dana Finney is back in the game for the Cougars, and Maggie Malone will take a rest for the first time. McConkey down the floor for the Mustangs. Pulls up, picks up her dribble, and passes to Ramos at the foul line. Taking it into Lee. Over Lee, she misses on the jumper, and Stacey Lee comes down with the rebound. Stacey Lee just a powerful presence inside. It's tough to get anything going towards the basket, and that's been the case already so far today. On the right side, a pass into the corner. This is Finney driving the baseline, bounces it to Lee, who draws the foul going up. Stacey Lee to the free throw line for the first time. It's the 5th foul on Central Maine.
Lee only attempted 3 free throws in the first 2 games, the quarterfinal against Maine Augusta and the semifinal against Albany Pharmacy. She only made 1 of those 3.
Her first free throw is good. Well, for as much as I've talked about her being such a dominant presence inside, she's not a physical offensive player, and she doesn't look for the contact all that frequently. And that's why she hasn't gotten to the line as much as perhaps her coaches would like.
Yeah, she's been one of those middle players in the way where you want to pass the ball inside. She can find someone on the other side of the court, dish it out to that shooter for an open look.
She hits both free throws. It's a 1-point game again. Samantha Bruce will try to change that with a 3, but she misses off to the right. Offensive rebound, McConkey, who is fouled. First foul of the half called on the University of Cincinnati Claremont, and that one is called on Kelsey Finn. With a 1-point lead, McConkey will inbound for Central Maine. Finds a wide open Susie French in the corner, way off on the 3, and that's a surprise on such an open shot. Loose ball, diving on the floor is Ramos. She grabs it and calls timeout. Heads up play by Ramos. Strong, aggressive play, and it will be Central Maine basketball coming out of the 30-second break.
Yeah, that was not a bad look at all from Susie French. She was wide open with space down the right corner, but then to shoot that ball way long, not even get the far side of the rim, is very uncommon.
That's for a player who's shooting 42% on three-pointers during the tournament coming into today. Oddly enough, actually, she's shooting 42% on three-pointers, but only 41% overall. So she's been better from outside than she has been in close. French, kind of a swing guard forward. Listed at 5'11", she is the second tallest player who we've seen today for the Mustangs, but she plays more like a guard, not a big inside offensive basketball player.
Well, how many times do you see on the men's side, they have 6'8" players who can shoot also from deep, so they will take on a guard-forward dual role.
Definitely one of the interesting things you see at small college levels. As the inbounds pass is saved from going out of bounds by French, a three-pointer off the mark from Jamie Stewart. Battling for the rebound, French once again. Out into the corner, Samantha Bruce knocks down the long two-pointer. Samantha Bruce with the basket has got 4 points. 15-12, Central Maine. Finn passes to Lee Keith to Lee, now over to Finn. Finn walks it off to the left side. Lee against a double team into the post, and she knocks one down on the turnaround. Stacy Lee makes it a 1-point game again. Neither team has been able to run away and hide yet in this first half, just about halfway through it. Ramos down the lane, around Lee to the basket, and gets the roll.
That's good awareness from Ramos. She's trying to draw the foul, but in the meantime, Lee's standing still because she knows if she stands still, there's no way the referee could call a foul against her. That gives Ramos the time to go around and get the lay-in.
Erica Stutz turns on the Jets and drives by Swart, but misses on the layup, and here come the Mustangs on the other end. Bruce thought about the three. She passes to the corner, and Jamie Swart instead. Top of the key now, McConkey. 15 seconds to shoot. Swart will drive. Baseline jumper is good. 5-point lead for Central Maine, their biggest of the game.
Right now, Central Maine hitting a whole lot of their field goal attempts right now. They're starting to feel hot.
Finney breaks the press, drives to the basket, and hits on the layup coast to coast for Dana Finney, and an impressive drive that time. So it is once again a one-possession game, as it has been for all but about 5 seconds today. Pull-up jumper no good from number 11, Susie French, and Dana Finney throws it away after Claremont had pulled down the rebound. We're going to have a media timeout, 9:49 to go. First half, Central Maine leads by 3. You're watching the 2014 USCAA Basketball Championships on the Turbo Sports Group Network. About 20 minutes past 4 here in southwestern Pennsylvania on a beautiful day outside, but all the attention here in Uniontown focused in the gym. A 3-point lead for Central Maine Community College over the University of Cincinnati Claremont. Under 10 minutes to play in the first half of the national championship game of women's Division II basketball, and it's a 6-point lead now for Central Maine as Jamie Swart knocks down the three-pointer. Central Maine has built up their biggest lead of the game.
Swart now 1 for 2 from deep, 2 for 3 from the field, an important 5 points.
Dana Finney drives the baseline. Now she's trapped, throws it off of Swart, gets it back and gives to Keith. Inside to Lee, knocked away, out of bounds. Last touched by Claremont. Central Maine riding some momentum now with 9:18 to play. They can make it a 3-score game with a basket here, and their offense has gotten into a groove. This is Lexi Larson driving into the lane, up off the glass, no good. Stacy Lee pulls down the rebound. Keith off to the right side, and Finney. Finney with the runner, can't get it. Offensive rebound, and the putback is good from Kelsey Finn.
That's going to be huge for Cincinnati Claremont, especially since Central Maine is starting to get the hot hand from the field goal range. If Cincinnati Claremont can get those second chance points, that's going to be a huge favor for them.
Kelsey Finn has 4 points for the Cougars. French from the right elbow is bumped. And we'll have a foul coming up on the ground. Just the second of the half on the Cougars. So a long way to go before Central Maine finds the bonus. Maggie Malone back in for the Cougars. Looks like Stutz is coming on as well, and we'll see our first appearance of Ashley Arnold on the Mustangs side.
Arnold did not play at all, as I recall, in the semifinals last night against Berkeley, New York.
Gabby Foy is back in as well for Central Maine, which was a nice sign after she left the game with what appeared to be a mild foot injury earlier. And Foy will jump right back into the action and try a three. No good, and the rebound tipped to Stutz. Here's Maggie Malone for the Cougars. Malone at the top of the key, guarded by McConkey. Off to Jenicky. She hasn't gotten any clean looks from the field yet. A very strong jump shooter. Keith against Arnold, who fell down. Can't hit the turnaround. Ball loose and knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Cincinnati Claremont.
That's some great effort there from Susie French, wrestling for the ball, able to deflect it off the Claremont Cougar. I believe it was Keith who was down on the ground fighting for possession.
8:15 to go. This is McConkey. McConkey gives it up to Gabby Foy. Into the corner. Now pass into Susie French, and French finishes over Maggie Malone. Set up by the Hannah Champagne assist. MVP chant coming from the Central Maine fans. I don't think there's much doubt. If Central Maine wins this, it is going to be Susie French, who's off to another good start today. Stutz working on French, having some trouble, gets rid of it, and Arnold jumps in and intercepts. Arnold going to the hoop, one-on-one against Malone, stops in the lane and travels.
Yeah, that was a clear carry. Good presence by Erica Stutz to get back on defense quickly.
24-18 our score. Central Maine leads Claremont. 7:41 to play in the first half, and we've got a 30-second timeout on the floor. It was back and forth, nip and tuck early in this game, Matt, and over the last couple of minutes, Central Maine has been able to establish themselves a little bit, and they've opened up a decent 6-point lead here late in the first half.
They have, shooting very well from the field and also very consistently from three-point attempts. And Cincinnati Claremont, though, getting a couple of second-chance opportunities to keep themselves only down 6. Don't forget, fans, you can purchase a video download of any contest from this week's national championships by heading to our website, turbosportsgroup.com. Make the order of the game film, and Turbo Sports will send you a link to download the game in full for yours to keep forever. We will have every game available in HD with full audio commentary. Again, that's on our website, turbosportsgroup.com. As you saw on the screen, Turbo spelled T-O-U-R-B-E-A-U.
Just as we were about to see an inbounds pass, there was a foul called on Susie French, pushing off as Claremont tried to get the ball in. So a quick foul before we resume action. That's the 6th of the half on Central Maine. It's Susie French's first. Pass knocked out of bounds by Champagne. And from the sideline, the Cougars will try another inbounds play.
Right now, only 3-pointers of the game have come from Central Maine. UCC 0 for 2 as of the most recent media timeout.
It's going to be an inbounds play from Maggie Malone. Gets it into Jenicky. Tess Jenicky, bounces it back outside. Arnold on some tight defense. Around to Malone. Malone drives the lane, bounces it inside off the foot of Jasmine Ramos. It's going to be a kicking violation, and that gives Claremont yet another inbounds play, this time from the baseline. Susie French checks out. Maggie McConkey back in for the Mustangs. Inbounded to Stutz. Lobbed back to Ashley Keith. Up with the right hand and in. Nice touch from Ashley Keith.
Only her second field goal of the game. Cincinnati Claremont's going to need her to have a couple more field goals if they want to be successful today.
McConkey walks it off to the right and passes off to Ramos. Ramos spins her way into the perimeter and is pushed down by Maggie Malone, who didn't seem to like the call, but it is going to be a foul on Malone, and it'll be her first, the team's third.
Very unique zone being employed here by the Lady Cougars, using 3 guards around the 3-point arc and then 2 bigs inside the post. Usually you see it the other way around.
Lobbed up top, chased down by McConkey. Central Maine has shot the ball very well in the tournament, and I'm sure that's part of the reason that the Cougars have put such an emphasis on guarding the perimeter. A 3-pointer from Foy is off the mark, but the rebound tapped out to Champagne. Champagne kicks it back out. McConkey will not take the shot. Instead, she lobs it inside for Ramos. Now to Arnold. Her 3 is blocked out of bounds by Stutz.
Great position by Stutz, and even more so because she did not get called for a foul. Very clean block, and Ashley Arnold Might want to take another second or two before she throws up another three.
Erica Stutz is a lanky 5'11", and she used all of that height and length to block that shot. Foy up underneath and over Finn. 2 more for Gabby Foy. And again, it's a 6-point lead for Central Maine. 6.5 minutes to play, first half. Ashley Keith passes out of the double team and gets it to Maggie Malone, and Malone will casually walk down the floor. Left side, Tess Janicki into the corner for Stutz. Bounce to Keith, and Keith is starting to get hot from the inside. 2 more for her, and she's got 8 for the game. Make that 6 for the game, I believe, for Ashley Keith. 4-point deficit for the Cougars, and an interception from Finn. Finn taking it to Foy inside, poked away from behind. Maggie McConkey will force Claremont to reset the possession from the baseline. Nice defense that time from both sides.
Well, how about Finn getting the steal at midcourt, then the favor being returned with the poke out of bounds by McConkey, who then takes a seat on the bench. Or actually, no, McConkey is on the court.
Inside Stutz, turnaround jumper off the glass, too hard. And I think she's going to be called for over the back. Foul on Erica Stutz, just the 4th on the team. It's Stutz's first.
Central Maine, meanwhile, was 6, so UCC will be in the bonus the rest of this first half.
Champagne off to the right side. Now a drive from Samantha Bruce. Bruce kicks it back out to Champagne. Top of the key, McConkey will reset the offense with 15 seconds to shoot. Tight defense from Finn. Off into the corner, Bruce. She'll pull it back out, under 10 on the clock now. Bruce muscled by Finn, and a foul, and that's a mistake with 7 seconds on the shot clock. Central Maine hadn't gotten anything going towards the basket, but they get bailed out.
That's huge because that was great defensive pressure from the Lady Cougars to keep Central Maine outside the three-point arc and try to look for open space. But now, with the foul, you get a new shot clock, you get a new possession for CMCC.
Susie French checks in for Ashley Arnold. And Central Maine inbounds from the sideline. Out into the backcourt, it's Maggie McConkey. McConkey guarded by Kelsey Finn once again, passes off to the right. Now a drive from Ramos, up and blocked by Maggie Malone. Malone loses the ball, it's on the ground, diving on the floor, bodies everywhere, and finally Central Maine comes away with it. French, no-look pass inside to Ramos, off the glass and in.
Good awareness by Susie French, making sure she knew where the ball was at all times, and that was a huge advantage for the Lady Mustangs because the possession arrow would have favored Cincinnati Claremont. It still does.
Keith nearly throws it away, but Malone is able to chase down the loose ball. Off the hands of Tess Janicki. Her jumper from about 10 feet is good. And if they can get Tess Janicki going, it could be a different story going forward.
Janicki averaging 14.5 points per game. That's her first field goal of the championship.
And Janicki, a sensational shooter, has just not gotten any clean looks today. She hit 5 3-pointers yesterday. Today hasn't taken a single one. Double dribble called on Hannah Champagne. 4:36 to go in the first half. We'll take a break. 28-24. This one remains close going down towards the end of the half. Central Maine in front. You're watching live coverage of the USCAA Basketball National Championships on the Turbo Sports Group Network. Four minutes, 36 seconds on the first half clock. Central Maine has a 4-point lead over UC Claremont. Both of these teams trying for their first ever USCAA National Championship. Both of these schools actually have had championships from their men's basketball teams, but the women's team trying to take home the hardware for the first time in school history. It's Cougars basketball out of the break, and Tess Janicki holds on the right wing. Lobbing inside for Stacy Lee, ripped away by Susie French. On the ground, Lee dives for it and keeps the possession alive. Dana Finney now will reset with 14 seconds on the shot clock. Malone out to Finney, 9 to shoot. Stacy Lee backing down on French. Out to Malone. Deep three-pointer is no good. Long rebound knocked away from Jenicky and brought in by McConkey of Central Maine. She throws it ahead. It's knocked out of bounds by Dana Finney. Central Maine retains possession.
Good awareness by Finney to get back on defense, but that wasn't necessarily a rushed free throw from or three-point attempt from Malone. Yes, there were 3 seconds on the shot clock, but she did have space. Not a bad look.
Lobbed in up top to Ramos, and she'll set up the Mustangs' possession. Off to the right side, and Hannah Champagne. I love that last name, Champagne. Spelled just like the drink, in case you're wondering. Susie French down the baseline against a double team. Can't get the roll. Rebound tapped back to French. Ramos now from the right side. No good, and the rebound goes to Claremont. Maggie Malone trying to push it ahead. Finney going up against McConkey. Too hard on the runner. Gets her own rebound back up from the right side. No good once again. Couple of chances. Not bad looks from Dana Finney. Couldn't finish either time. Central Maine basketball. Here's a drive from Bruce. Bruce past Lee. Gets Lee in the air and scores. Nice move by Samantha Bruce. 6-point lead, Central Maine, and with 3:18 on the clock, we've got a timeout called by University of Cincinnati Claremont head coach Mike Matthews.
Yeah, Matthews right now, this is just him wanting to slow down the tempo, issue some instructions to his players here in the final 4 minutes of the game while trying to slow the progress made by Central Maine, the Lady Mustangs.
Don't forget, you can keep up with every piece of the action from this year's national championships on our social media platforms. Follow us on Facebook or get instant updates and news on our Twitter handle and connect with us at Turbo Sports. You can also use the hashtag USCAA on TSG to interact with us during the games.
Let me ask you, Terry, how often have you been able to use the hashtag throughout the tournament?
Not often enough. Not often enough. I've really been lacking on my Twitter, and it's not a good thing, Matt.
Also has our colleague Eric Little at the same time.
Well, at least I'm in good company. I'm going to get to it on Championship Saturday today. I'm going to get to tweeting. After this one is over, nonstop tweeting in between games.
I'll trust you. I'll hold you to that.
Live tweeting the championship ceremony. How about that?
Now that would be something.
3:18 to go. Claremont basketball. Ashley Keith with the ball. And the forward for Claremont, guard forward, been playing down low most of the time today, will take over the ball handling duties before giving it up to Tess Jenicky. Malone inside the perimeter, back out to Keith. Jump stop inside, out to Finney. Open three, no good. Rebound tapped around and brought in by Stacy Lee. Big offensive rebound. Ashley Keith now with the runner inside, no good. And the rebound this time goes to Susie French.
Yeah, that last attempt by Finney, she looked like she wanted to take it a lot sooner than she did, and maybe she probably could have because that hesitation maybe put a little extra juice on the ball, and that caused it to go too strong.
Layup is good from Lexi Larson after a strong drive, and Maine has opened up an 8-point lead. 2.5 minutes to play before the half, and Claremont's got plenty of time. They'd like to cut into this a little bit before they take their intermission.
This was around the time in the Division I championship game when Concordia got the lead, and they would not let it go for the rest of the game.
Nice move inside by Stacy Lee ends the run for the Mustangs, 32-26. And a steal from Dana Finney, trying to make it a quick 4-0 run. She has it stripped but gets it back and has an uncontested layup. Good play by Finney on both ends of the floor.
Absolutely, able to fight off Maggie McConkey, who did have a 2-inch height advantage on Finney.
Susie French doesn't waste any time in answering with a layup of her own. Under 2 minutes to play, the offenses have suddenly taken center stage here at PSU Fayette, and an offensive foul called on Ashley Keith on her drive.
Great set by McConkey to get her feet set, take the charge.
Ashley Keith's first foul, it's the team's sixth. Both sides at 6 fouls now, so the next one for each team will send the opponent to the free throw line.
Jamie Swart now into the game for Central Maine. She has 5 points on 2 of 3 shooting.
Walking across half court, this is Larson bouncing inside. Not cleanly handled initially. Back out to Susie French. Larson looks to the left, bounces to Susie French, but it's intercepted by Caitlin Disler just into the game at the last whistle. Disler with the big steal, but Tess Jenicky gives it up on the other end. Just took her eye off the ball and lost concentration for a second. That was all it took for Central Maine to take it away, and now Central Maine gives it right back
Yeah, that was, you could almost call that a freshman mistake by Tess Janicki, although she is a junior from Bethel, Ohio. But that's just something you cannot afford to make at any point in a basketball game, taking your eye off the ball and taking your concentration elsewhere.
Can we call it a freshman mistake on Lexi Larson on the other end? She is a freshman, and she just let the ball go through her hands when she took her eye off the ball as the pass came in. Inside to Lee, blocked by French. She grabs it, but she was stepping out of bounds at the time. That was a risky pass inside. Stacy Lee was being fronted by a pair of white shirts, and somehow she was able to bring it in, but French came in from behind for the block.
Yeah, and Lee, I think, kind of panicked a little bit. She was interested in getting the ball and putting up the shot straight away. She could have afforded to take some time to set herself.
A lot of contact that time with Stacy Lee, but no foul called, and we're going the other way. Larson with the layup, can't get it. Under a minute to play in the half. Finney bounces the ball off her foot. It's loose. Diving on the floor. We've got a tie-up, and the possession arrow faces UC Claremont. 45 seconds to go in the half. A 21-second difference between the shot and game clocks. And French will check out in favor of Gabby Foy for the end of the first half. Dana Finney will take her time, taking it down the floor.
About a 20-second difference between shot and game clock, so this is not the last possession of the game yet.
I hope not. It's still the first half. Three-pointer is good for Tess Janicki. First clean look she's gotten today, and she just showed why Central Maine hasn't been giving her any.
Did I say last possession of the game?
Simple mistake, I understand.
I meant to say first half, yeah.
Swart can't answer on the other end as she misses the three, but it's thrown away by Stacy Lee. Gabby Foy posting up on Lee, out to McConkey, and now Foy will back it out. Into the corner for McConkey, and Central Maine will perhaps take some time off and take the final shot of the half. 5 seconds to go. Foy, deep three ball, no good. Rebound tapped out of bounds, and that will end the first half. UC Claremont makes a nice little run at the end of the first half, and we've got a game at the half. Central Maine Community College leads University of Cincinnati Claremont 34-31 with 20 minutes to play. This one will come down to the second half of the national championship game. We will take a 15-minute break. You're watching live coverage of the 2014 USCAA Basketball National Championships, hosted by Penn State Fayette on the Turbo Sports Group Network.
Back at the campus of PSU Fayette, it's the national championship game for the USCAA Women's Division II, and we've got a good one to this point. Central Maine Community College leads the University of Cincinnati Claremont 34-31. Along with Matt Digby, I'm Terry Bonadonna on the call for today's action, and I think to this point, Matt, this game has been everything that we expected, everything that we hoped for.
Absolutely. I mean, both these two teams, we said at the top of the broadcast, it's the top two seeds. The only matchup of the 4 championship games here in USCAA basketball that pits a 1 versus a 2. So both these teams expected to be here. Both these teams excited to be here, and a lot of good passion from both the Lady Cougars and the Lady Mustangs.
Taking a look at some of the first half stats, both teams have shot the ball fairly well compared to what we've seen over the course of this tournament. Central Maine is at 46%, Cincinnati Claremont at 41%. Neither team has shot the ball well from beyond the three-point arc. 1 for 5 for Claremont, 2 for 13 for Central Maine. But Central Maine, if you take away that 2 for 13, they're shooting about 70% from inside the three-point arc. So we might see more of an effort to get the ball inside the second half. Anything stand out to you, Matt?
Absolutely, yes. Tess Jenneke, the leading scorer coming into the national championship tournament for UC Claremont. She averages just less than 16 points a game. Tonight she only has 5, and it's not because of foul trouble, although she has spent some time on the bench. Not sure as to why Mike Matthews decided to go with that tactic, because Jenneke, like I just said, has not been in foul trouble, but she's only 2 of 3 from the field, 1 for 1 from three-point range, 5 points. She might want to take a couple of shots.
Well, like you said, she's been shooting the ball well, so it's not that she's slumping in any way. I give more credit than anything to the Central Maine defense, and in particular, I think it's been Maggie McConkey who's guarded her more often than not. They've done a great job on Tess Jenneke today. Leading scorer for Central Maine is Susie French. She also leads the team in rebounds, 8 and 5 respectively. Star of the game so far for Claremont is Stacy Lee, 10 points and 7 boards. As we get underway in the second half, it is Central Maine basketball. And at the top of the key, it's McConkey in possession. Off to the left side, Champagne, back to McConkey. Now on the right side, Gabby Foy. The 5 starters are on the floor for both sides. Three-pointer for Foy, no good. Make it 2 of 14 from beyond the arc for the Mustangs. And the Cougars will take their first possession of the second half.
Yeah, and Cincinnati Claremont, they've gotten a couple second chance points, but they're going to want to get more if they're to get back in front in this national championship game.
Dana Finney, guarded outside by Foy. Gets rid of it to Jenneke. Now over to Malone. Malone's got an open lane. Bounces it to Lee. Lee, no, but a foul. Stacy Lee, the only double-digit scorer so far in today's game. She's 4 of 6 from the field. Not quite as impressive as her first half yesterday when she had a double-double by halftime. But one thing that they absolutely cannot have is Stacy Lee's second half. If Claremont wants to win today, they need Stacy Lee to step up as she has in the first half today. Yesterday, she sort of disappeared in the second half, and they saw a 13-point lead disappear and ultimately won by 1. Lee misses on the first free throw.
Yeah, and every game, you got to make your free throws. Right now, Lee cannot afford to miss any more.
She misses that one, but gets her own rebound and puts it up and in. That's a big 2 for Stacy Lee after missing a pair of free throws. It is a 1-point game.
Well, she did have the opportunity to get her own rebound off that missed free throw, but she can't rely on that happening the rest of the game.
Free throw line jumper is short from Susie French. She gets her own rebound and puts it in with a foul. Stacy Lee on one end, Susie French on the other, and that's basically the way things have gone today. 2 leading scorers in the game have a near identical play on opposite ends of the floor. And now Ramos will check in for Central Maine. Gabby Foy to the bench. Central Maine has led in this game by as many as 8. They now lead by 3 as French misses on the free throw. Just over a minute gone by in the second half. It's Malone passing up on the three-pointer from the corner. She gives it up to Keith instead. Now it's Tess Jenneke, guarded by Champagne. Finney with 13 on the shot clock. Passes to a cutting Keith off her hands and intercepted by Susie French. French going the other way. Nice crossover. Bounce pass inside to Ramos. Ramos gets her man in the air but passes out. In the corner, French. Open look for 3. Yes! Susie French. She's got 13, and it's now a 39-33 lead for Central Maine.
First three-point field goal made by French, and a good poke of the ball out of bounds by Hannah Champagne in front of the CMCC bench. but French with only her first 3-point make of the entire afternoon. That's only the third for Central Maine.
One thing we haven't mentioned here in the second half, Laura Sui sat almost the entire first half in foul trouble. She's back in there now. That's a big addition to Central Maine's lineup that they didn't have for much of the first half, and we'll see if she makes an impact going forward guarding Stacy Lee. She does on this possession as she forces Lee into a miss, and Central Maine comes away with the rebound. McConkey is trapped in a double team, throws it off the foot of Malone and out of bounds, so it will be Central Maine basketball with 24 on the shot clock. 17:57 to go on the game clock. Ramos takes it across half court for the Mustangs. Off to the right, McConkey thought about the three. Instead, she gets it inside to Sui. Sui against the double team, back out to McConkey. Drive down the baseline, throws it away, out of bounds. It was tipped by a Cougar.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it took a deflection.
French will inbound, only 10 seconds to shoot. Into McConkey, and McConkey will set up the offense. Over to French on the right side. French drives, pulls up, 5 to shoot, out to McConkey. Back to French, she gets a good look from three-point range, not this time. Malone with the rebound. Same spot that French hit from a moment ago. This time can't get it to go as the shot clock was expiring. Finney in the corner. Lobs in for Keith, backing down, turnaround jumper, short. Battles for her own rebound, gets it, puts it back up and scores. Ashley Keith has had a quiet day, but her numbers look pretty good. 8 points now in the day for Keith. She shot better than 50% for the game. Hannah Champagne from the outside. Walks off to the right and gives it to Ramos. Kelsey Finn with some tight defense. Now she backs off. On the left side, it's McConkey. Gets it to French again with the shot clock running down. She's blocked by Keith, and Stacy Lee comes down with the loose ball. Keith with a nice offensive play, followed by a nice defensive play. Now Keith again on the offensive end, dishes to Finney. Open three, good. And it's a 1-point game.
That was a great dish out to the left corner and an easy collection for Finney. At times, she took a second to steady herself, make sure she had the shot she wanted, and nailed it.
How about that sequence from Keith? She gets the offensive rebound in the basket, then a block on the other end, and then a nice assist on the offensive side again. Can't ask for a better minute than that. Drive from French to the basket, no good off the backboard, and a foul called on Central Maine as Malone was hacked by Ramos.
So Central Maine getting their shots just like they were in the first half, but a good job by Cincinnati Claremont to match them for the most part, not allowing the Lady Mustangs to get too far ahead.
Claremont has not had the lead since it was 9-8. Actually, excuse me, it was 8-7 last time they had the lead. But they can take it again right here on this possession.
You were in the right vicinity.
Finney hits the three, and it is a Claremont lead. Well, we can erase that last number now. Just call it 41-39 the last time they had the lead.
It makes it a little bit easier.
Big shot for Dana Finney. Claremont up by 2. Central Maine struggling on the offensive end so far this half. Champagne bounces to Sui. Baseline jumper, short. And Keith comes down with another rebound. Ashley Keith has had a strong start to the second half. Finn to Stacy Lee. Lee against a double team, picks up her dribble. Having some trouble as Susie French takes it away. French averages 5 steals per game. That's her second today. Wild running shot, though, does not go for her. And Keith takes it the other direction. 2-on-2. Keith pulls up in the lane, out to Stacy Lee. Wide open jumper is good. That continues for Claremont. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, that was a great option for Ashley Keith. She had Lee wide open to the left, Finney wide open to the right. Finney had been the hot hand, but Stacy Lee proving she can shoot from the mid-range.
Biggest lead of the game for the Cougars. McConkey picks it up and gives it off to French. Nearly lost the ball. Now McConkey, open three-pointer. Banks it in. Was she trying to do that?
I think so. It did look a little off to the left.
43-42 and a steal for Susie French. French can give her team the lead once again as Malone fouls her. We're going to have a timeout on the floor with 14:34 to go in regulation. 43-42. This game has remained tight throughout. Back in a bit. You're watching live coverage of the 2014 USCAA Basketball National Championships, hosted by Penn State Fayette on the Turbo Sports Group Network. (43-42), UC Claremont has a very narrow lead over Central Maine, and it is the Mustangs ball trying to take that lead back with 14:34 to go. Hannah Champagne is the inbounder, and she finds Samantha Bruce on the right side. Now Ramos against the zone defense into the corner. Open three for French. Not this time. Rebounded by Lee. Lee ahead to Finn, and Finn will slow down the offense for the Cougars. Three-point shooting just hasn't been there today for Central Maine. French hit the big one a few minutes ago. Thought that might get them going, but it hasn't. Into the corner, Finn drives the baseline into the brick wall that is Suey. Off to Lee, and Lee knocks down the mid-range jumper. 3-point lead for the Cougars. Here's Hannah Champagne. Off to Susie French, has it briefly knocked away. French drives to the right, now trying to back her way in. Off to Ramos at the free throw line. She misses her jumper, and Stacy Lee comes down with another rebound. We've got a foul called on the Mustangs. Stacy Lee's 11th rebound of the game. She's got a double-double, 14 and 11.
Well, we talked about Stacy Lee being our pick for tournament MVP if Cincinnati Claremont wins. And how about Susie French, who would be our pick if Central Maine wins today? Both players have had great games for their teams.
When they've needed them most, their star players have stepped up. Long way to go in this game to see who's going to step up last and most important. Maggie Malone drives the lane. Runner is good off the back iron. It rolls through, and Claremont now has a 5-point lead for the first time.
Remember back in the first half when Central Maine seemed to be hitting every field goal they attempted. Now it's Cincinnati Claremont's turn.
Three-pointer off the mark. No good that time from Larson, and Lee comes down with the rebound. She may have gotten away with throwing an elbow that time.
Yeah, Ramos did go down to the ground. A little surprised by that non-call.
Lobbed in for Lee, can't finish from underneath, and Lee picks up the foul of Susie French.
I say surprised because I have seen fouls called today for lesser contact than what we saw with Lee and Ramos just a short time ago.
You mentioned that it seems like Claremont is making every shot from the field this half. That was just their third miss. They're 7 for 10 shooting in the last 7 minutes. And they've turned a 3-point halftime deficit into a 5-point lead, outscoring Central Maine 16-8 so far. Long way to go in this one, though, and we know very well that the Mustangs can get hot. This is Ramos driving. Up and blocked by Stacy Lee, out of bounds. This is, though, by far the latest in a game this tournament that Central Maine has been behind. We'll see if they can respond to adversity the way that Claremont did yesterday against Albany. Inbounded into the corner. Open look. Samantha Bruce hits it off the side of the backboard. Another missed three-pointer, and the shooting woes continue for the Mustangs.
Yeah, it did go off the front of the rim, so it could have potentially bounced off and in the net from there.
A drive and a kick out and a travel. That was Jesse Brennis, who just checked into the game for the first time. Brennis got the pass and then took a quick step, called for the walk.
Brennis, a freshman guard from Cincinnati, which is the main city, of course, in Ohio, right on the Ohio River. Batavia, where Claremont's campus is located, off to the east of downtown Cincinnati.
This is Ramos from the foul line backing out. Now around to Bruce. In the corner, it's McConkey. With 15 to shoot, Bruce finds Gabby Foy on the right wing. Foy drives and kicks inside to Ramos. Going up, she's blocked. Blocked by Stutz. Stutz with another nice defensive play. Ramos gets it back a third time and misses once again. Great interior defense that time from the Cougars. And now Malone is running to the basket. She puts it in.
And now Central Maine struggling with second chance points because Ramos did well to get her rebounds off those missed shots, but she can't rely on that happening every single time she puts up a missed field goal.
McConkey takes a step in. She's blocked, but this time it'll be a foul. Fourth foul of the half on the Cougars, and McConkey will get a pair of free throws. That one called on Ashley Keith, only her second.
Laura Suey is about to enter back into the game for CMCC.
First free throw off the mark from McConkey.
And Tess Janicki returns.
How about this? The Cougars have made their big run in the second half, and Janicki hasn't hit a shot during that stretch.
She hasn't been on the court a whole lot to begin with.
McConkey misses them both. Rebound goes to Keith. Central Maine's just not shooting the ball right now the way they have all tournament and all season. Malone passes to the left, and Tess Janicki. Guarded by Foy. She's already lost her dribble. She has to get rid of it to Keith. Ashley Keith guarded outside by Suey. A drive and a kick into the corner for Stutz. Her jumper is good. 9-point lead for Claremont. This is the biggest advantage for either side today, and it's an 8-0 run for UC Claremont. Timeout called by Andrew Morong from the Central Maine bench.
And you see the UCC fans on their feet right now enjoying this 9-point lead thoroughly, as they should.
Turbo Sports is the official videographer of the USCAA and all their national championships. TSG provides players, families, and fans with a chance to capture highlights from any major events by creating custom player highlight reels. Learn more online at www.turbosportsgroup.com. Well, we asked the question earlier, Matt, if Central Maine faced some adversity, which they really haven't over the course of this tournament yet, would they be able to respond? So far, it's hard to find an answer because right now it's just a tale of two different shooting teams. Claremont's knocking down everything, and Central Maine's gotten some good looks, but nothing seems to fall.
Absolutely. I mean, you're right. This is the first time we've really seen Central Maine put in this spot of adversity. Granted, they were technically outscored in the second half by 2 against Berkeley, New York, but because they have built up a 10-point lead, they were able to win by 8. But yeah, this is a brand new situation for Andrew Morong and company. Their last loss was only by 1 point, 59-58 to Maine Presque Isle. Since then, they've rattled off 5 straight wins.
Their first loss came way back in the first few games of the season. So they've won 23 of their last 24 games. Central Maine out of the timeout. Three-pointer off the mark. And here comes the Cougars running. Finn misses on the layup, and a battle for the rebound results in it being knocked out of bounds by Finn. Central Maine basketball, 11:06 on the clock.
So as of that last media timeout, Stacy Lee, the leading scorer with 16 points. Susie French pacing the Lady Mustangs with 13.
Central Maine shooting 3 for 19 this half. They shot the ball very well in the first half. McConkey from the baseline ends the drought with a short jumper. That could be a catalyst for Central Maine. A big shot. It's a 7-point lead for Claremont. Finn to Janicki. Back to Finn, and she'll walk it across before passing to Malone.
And by contrast, UC Claremont shooting much better with 9 field goals this half and shooting just under 50%.
After the offensive rebound, Finn is fouled, and she'll get 2 free throws. That one is called on Laura Suey, and that's her 4th. Suey has played only 14 minutes today. She's been in foul trouble all afternoon.
So Finn headed to the free throw line for the first time today. She has 4 points.
Kind of an awkward-looking shot, but it gets the job done as she knocks down the first.
I guess it's all relative. I mean, I have my own personal routine and when I take a foul shot in the pickup game.
Well, you can't knock whatever goes in. But it's certainly not textbook form for Kelsey Finn. She hits 1 of 2. Trying to chase down her own rebound. She saves it, but it's off the foot of Stutz out of bounds.
Yeah, she tried to save that thinking a Lady Mustang was right behind her. Instead, it was her teammate, Stutz.
Here's McConkey for the Mustangs. Off to the left side, a deep three-pointer. No good from Swart. Offensive rebound, Susie French, who dribbles it off the foot of Tess Janicki out of bounds. It'll stay with the Mustangs. Dana Finney and Stacy Lee are back in for the Cougars. Janicki and Malone will have a seat. The inbounder for Central Maine will be Champagne. She sends it into McConkey, just out of the reach of Stutz, who tried to steal that pass. Top of the key, this is McConkey. Over to the left side. Swart passes on the 3, instead dribbles inside a little bit more, misses on the 2-point jumper, and Keith brings down the rebound. Ashley Keith now has 6 rebounds in the game to go along with her 8 points. Under 10 minutes to play, more than halfway through the second period. A drive from Finney, and she kicks it back out to Keith. Finney for 3. No good. Offensive rebound, Kelsey Finn. She can't put it back in. Central Maine comes down with the rebound against a little press from Claremont. They do get it across the timeline. Ramos over to French. French works her way back to the top of the key where she'll set up her offense with 16 on the shot clock. McConkey on the left side, back over to French. French drives on Finn, kicks it out to Swart. And now French again in the corner. Just 5 seconds to shoot. This is McConkey spinning towards the basket. Champagne throws it off the backboard. Did not hit the rim on her shot, and that's a shot clock violation. We'll take a break. 9:06 to go in regulation. Claremont has opened up an 8-point lead, and we'll take a break. You're watching live coverage of the 2014 USCAA Basketball National Championships, hosted by Penn State Fayette on the TSG Network. Back at PSU Fayette, 9:06 to go, second half, along with Matt Digby, Terry Bonadonna with you via the Turbo Sports Group Network. Championship Saturday in the USCAA tournaments. We've already crowned one champion. Concordia of Alabama women's team won the Division I championship. Here in Division II, it is an 8-point lead for the University of Cincinnati Claremont, and they've got the ball coming out of the timeout. Bounced into Ashley Keith, and Keith will walk it up the court for the Cougars. Intercepted pass by Susie French. French taking it the other way, slows it down. Probably the wise decision with Stacy Lee waiting to block a potential shot. Swart over to Ramos inside. This is McConkey going up, but walking first. Traveling violation before the shot.
So Stacy Lee not with any points in quite a while, but still leading the scoring with 16 on 7 of 11 from the field.
That is the 12th turnover of the game committed by Central Maine. They've actually done a great job protecting the ball here in the second half, but again, their problem isn't holding onto the ball, it's putting it in the hoop. They're shooting only 17% since the break. Here's Malone bouncing it off to Janicki. Tess Janicki works her way up top to Stacy Lee. Bounced inside to Ashley Keith. Keith, jumper is good. Gets a nice friendly roll from the rim. A double-digit lead for the first time today. UC Claremont up 10
And Keith herself is now in double digits. That's 10 points on 5 of 9 shooting.
Bounce to the right side. This is French. French off to Ramos. Blocked by Stacy Lee and out of bounds. Ramos with an aggressive spin to the hoop. Went right in against Stacy Lee. Stacy Lee was having none of it. An easy block for her against the shorter Ramos. McConkey tries to get it in and does finally find Ramos. 12 on the shot clock. Here's the drive. Up against Lee again. This time it'll be a foul. Ramos will get 2 free throws. The foul is called on Stacy Lee, and that is her third.
Important free throws coming up here for Ramos, as Gabby Foy will be re-entering the ball game soon with 8:03 to play in the game. Laura Suey still on the bench because she has 4 fouls.
First shot off the back iron. They are now 0 for 4 on free throws here in the second half and in the game. In fact, they didn't get any in the first half. So Ramos trying to hit their first free shot of the game. Squares it up and cannot hit. 0 for 5 now on free throws. Keith battling with Susie French, holds on to the ball for Claremont. And they'll get it across the timeline. This is Malone passing off to Finney. Up top now, Tess Janicki. Left side, lobbed in for Keith. Keith will score off the assist from Stacy Lee.
Great look from Stacy Lee and great separation from Keith, able to fight her way in between 2 Lady Mustang defenders to get the layup to roll.
The Cougars have now outscored the Mustangs 25-10 in the second half. And no stoppage in sight. This is Champaign off to the right side. McConkey guarded by Janicki. Gets it back to Champaign. Long 2-point jumper is perfect. On the mark from Hannah Champaign. Big shot. They needed that one. Approaching the 7-minute mark. UC Claremont still holds a healthy 10-point lead. Against a double team, Malone dribbles around them both to the hoop. The layup no good. Finney has the rebound knocked away by French, who steps on the line, trying to keep it alive for the Mustangs.
Yeah, great effort by French to keep the ball in, and good effort by her to reach over Dana Finney to get the steal when it looked like she could have easily been called for the foul.
Ramos and McConkey will check out for Central Maine. Swart back in the game along with Bruce. Ashley Keith, turnaround jumper is good from short range. Ashley Keith has shot the ball extremely well today.
14 points now for the senior.
In the corner, it's lobbed up top to Stephanie Bruce. Bruce drives, jump stop, passes out to French. French has it stripped, taken away by Finney on the ground, and I lost track of it, but it looks like we're going to get a tie-up, and the possession arrow is going the other way.
It is a tie-up. Looked like Bruce rather wanted to throw that ball back to Swart rather than French, and French kind of intercepted it with that little tap, and that ended up creating the possession tie-up.
Cincy Claremont up by 12. They can add to it right here, and they have been red-hot shooting this entire second half. Keith into the corner for Janicki. Janicki still remains quiet. They haven't needed her as much today. Drive from Finney, loses it. Keith picks the ball up, misses on the shot. Offensive rebound, Stacy Lee on the second chance. Makes it a 14-point lead for Claremont.
Her first basket in quite a while. She now has 18 points.
Top of the key, it's Gabby Foy. Off to the left side. From Champaign to Bruce. Back around to Foy. She'll try another three-pointer. On the mark, but short. Tapped around, and Foy comes down with it. Central Maine will reset. Bruce has an open look. Her three-pointer is no good. Rebound to number 11 of Claremont, Maggie Malone.
Very surprising to see Central Maine really struggling from beyond the arc in this second half.
Malone on the right wing, up top to Keith. Inside Stacy Lee, good position and an easy layup. Stacy Lee continues her excellent run. She's got 20, and it's a big lead now for the Cougars. Off the foot of Champaign, the ball is loose. We'll get another held ball. 5:12 to go in the second half, and the possession arrow faces Central Maine. They'll hold on.
5:12 to go in the season for both teams. And here's a big move made by Andrew Morong of Central Maine Community College. Back comes Laura Suey with 4 fouls.
This game has gotten away from Central Maine since Suey headed to the bench with her 4th foul. And they hope that she can provide a spark now. French off to Foy. Back to French on the right side. A drive and a layup. No, does not get the roll, but she will head to the line for 2 shots.
That's another instance where French has picked up a pass that I'm fairly sure was intended for someone else. In this case, Ashley Arnold. But this time, French was able to drive to the basket and draw a foul, if not get the shot.
Well, she's doing what you're taught to do. If the ball's in your direction, you got to make a go for it.
That's right.
And especially when you're the star player on the team. Susie French trying to put this team on her back the way she has so many times this season. And she has had a nice game numbers-wise, but hasn't been able to hit some of the big shots that she's attempted. She has 14 points. Second free throw is no good, so she makes just 1 of 2, but she gets her own rebound and puts it in.
So how about that, a 3-point sequence of events.
Ashley Keith slipped in behind the defense, and she's got a wide-open run to the lane. Her layup is good. They just lost track of Ashley Keith. You can't do that to one of the best players on University of Cincinnati Claremont.
You're absolutely right, Terry, but I think what Central Maine was trying to do was steal right off the inbounds. Not a bad idea, but yeah, you can't afford to leave a player like Keith wide open.
Arnold misses the 3, and the rebound goes to the Cougars. Here's Maggie Malone off to the right side. Now bounce to Tess Janicki. Over to Finney. Finney with a fake to the right, drives to the left. Runner does not go. Rebound to French. Lobbed ahead to Gabby Foy. Foy trying to make a run of it. Pulls up and is fouled with 4 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the game. We'll have our final media timeout. Central Maine's got an uphill battle over the last 4+ minutes. They trail Claremont by 15. We'll take a break. You're listening to live coverage of the 2014 USCAA Basketball National Championships at Penn State Fayette on the Turbo Sports Group Network. Four minutes, 10 seconds remaining in the season for these two squads. The Division II National Championship game. UC Claremont has erased an 8-point first half deficit. They lead by 15. And Gabby Foy is at the foul line to try to turn things around a little bit for the Mustangs. They have struggled from the free throw line, 1 of 7 collectively today. Foy misses the front end of the 1-and-1, and Kelsey Finn chases down the rebound, so they're now 1 of 8 on free throws. Maggie Malone will slow it down. Off to Keith. Keith gives it up to Malone. Now Stacy Lee. They'll kill some clock here as we get late in this game. Ashley Keith on the drive. Layup is good. Ashley Keith has 18 points on 9 of 14 shooting. She has had a sensational second half. Susie French trying to answer on the other end. Passes across court to Foy. Foy on the drive, puts it up with the left and scores. Big answer from Central Maine, but they need some stops now.
Foy only her 3rd field goal of the game. She has now 7 points. CMCC might want a couple more shots taken from her as well as everybody on the floor right now.
Open in the corner. Janicki will not take the shot. She gives it up to Lee instead. Drives with the left hand to the basket. No good on the runner. Finn with the offensive rebound. And Claremont will take a few more seconds off the clock. Precious seconds for the Mustangs.
Yeah, 3 minutes to go. This is the part of the game where I think Claremont would be better served by just running down the shot clock and waiting until single digits to take up a shot.
Ashley Arnold called for the block as she forces contact on Ashley Keith, just the 5th of the half. So not yet in the bonus, it's the first on Arnold. The inbounder will be Maggie Malone. Ramos in for Foy on the Mustang side, 2:54 on the clock. Malone lobs it in up top to Ashley Keith, who tracks it down at the midcourt circle. Right side Malone. Guarded closely by Bruce, lobbed in for Stacy Lee, stripped by French, but right over to Keith. The possession will continue.
Yeah, Claremont was going for a quick shot there, even though they'd still have 15 on the shot clock.
Malone floater does not go out of bounds. Last touched by Central Maine, and that shot from Malone did hit the rim, so a fresh shot clock for UC Claremont. They can eat up some more time. This possession has already gone about 40 seconds.
Yeah, 40 seconds sounds about right.
Bruce checks out, and coming back in is Maggie McConkey. Malone is fouled. No, it's a travel call.
Great call from Maggie McConkey to provide pressure on that left corner just inside the three-point arc. Forced the mistake from Maggie Malone.
2.5 minutes to play. Central Maine has been a great three-point shooting team all year. They've been cold today, but they're going to have to turn it around right now if they want to win this championship. Susie French at the top, bounces off to Bruce. Bruce squares it up but will not shoot. A three-pointer coming from Gabby Foy, off the mark. Offensive rebound, French. French back up with it in the lane, no good. Rebound to Claremont this time.
Again, if you're Mike Matthews, your message now to your players on the court is run the clock. Wait until single digits before taking a shot because they're now 2 minutes away from a national championship.
And Matthews is calling a timeout, perhaps to discuss that very thing with his team. 2:01 to go in today's game, 66-51. UC Claremont over Central Maine, and this has been a rather shocking second half. We expected a tight game. We got it for the first 20 minutes, but the last 18 have been all Cougars.
We did. I mean, halftime talks, we've talked about it, sometimes do wonders. Mike Matthews must have really been angry because his team have not been shooting that great. They've really come to play in this second half. I mean, after the last media timeout, shooting 15 of 25, 60% compared to 20% for CMCC in the second half. That's a huge difference.
Central Maine comes back on the floor with Arnold, French. Suey is out there along with Ramos. And their fifth player is McConkey. Claremont has Malone, Finn, Keith, Stacy Lee, and Tess Janicki. It's UCC's ball. 2:01 officially on the clock, 18 seconds on the shot clock. Maggie Malone will run a few seconds before passing off to Stacy Lee. Outside, guarded by Suey. Suey's playing tight, but she has 4 fouls, so she can't be too aggressive defensively. Malone with 5 to shoot. Off to Finn. Finn's jumper is no good, but a foul called. That's a backbreaker for Central Maine.
That, by contrast, is the perfect possession for Cincinnati Claremont. Wait till single digits before you take a shot, and even better if you can draw a foul and go to the free throw line.
First shot good from Finn. 67-51. The UC Claremont lead continues to grow.
Now a 6-possession game with 105 seconds to play.
Bruce, Foy, and Larson are on the floor. It looks like they're kind of going with an offensive-defensive switch now for Central Maine. They're getting their shooters on the floor for this next possession. Finn hits on the free throw. And coming in now for UC Claremont, Caitlin Disler in for Stacy Lee. We have not seen much of Disler today.
Yeah, she did play 2 minutes in the first half, but this is her first appearance in the second half.
On for some defense right now with 1:45 to play. They let it roll across half court before picking it up. Bruce for 3, in and out. Rebound to Claremont, and Tess Janicki bounces it away from the double team to Ashley Keith. They get it across half court, and now the Cougars can run some more clock. Down to a minute and a half. Tess Janicki holds deep on the right side.
And this is a tough dilemma for Andrew Morong here because if he chooses to have his players foul a UC Lady Cougar, That puts them at the free throw line with a chance to make it a 7-possession game.
Foy knocks it in the backcourt. Now you definitely don't want to foul, but now's the time they get it. Once that clock, the shot clock rolls down to about 6 seconds, that's when you back off and try to force them into a bad shot, but an overly aggressive play, you can't really blame Foy there. She was trying for the loose ball, and it does not work out in her favor.
I mean, 1:15 to play in the game, down by more than 15. I would say now is the time where Central Maine, might be starting to panic.
Ashley Keith, perhaps on a victory lap here after what has been a fantastic game for her. She misses the first free throw, and the rebound goes to Central Maine. Lobbed ahead to Samantha Bruce. Bruce holds onto her balance, throws a pass that's deflected by Finn and stolen by the Cougars. We're down to the final minute now of a 17-point game, and it might be too late for the Mustangs. Keith across half court. It does not look like Central Maine's going to foul.
Mike Matthews indicating to his players to keep running the clock.
And now there is a foul with 15 on the shot clock. 51 seconds to go in the game.
But this has been a dominant second-half performance. We talked about it. Whoever establishes momentum at the beginning of a half is going to have the upper hand throughout the game, and that's exactly what UCC has done throughout this second half. They got the shots. They were able to force Central Maine to take shots that they weren't comfortable with taking, and that's what led to this 17-point lead.
Malone hits the front end of the 1-and-1, and Stacy Lee has the impressive numbers. She'll almost certainly be named the tournament MVP, but Ashley Keith, I think, was really the catalyst of this run. She just shot lights out second half and made up for Tess Jenneke, who had some great defense played on her. Jenneke hit 2/3 of her shots, but it's amazing that Claremont's been able to build up this lead, and Jenneke hasn't even been involved in the second half, hasn't taken one shot.
She hasn't, as Keith now getting a standing ovation from the fans. She's going to sit down as a senior. So is Stacy Lee. 51 seconds to go here.
Second free throw misses, and it's going to stay with Claremont. Susie French checked out as well, and she got a nice hand, deservedly so, from the Central Maine faithful. Not feeling as good as they'd like to right now, but a great tournament and a great season from Susie French. Deserves that ovation.
Yeah, the Central Maine Mustang men very supportive of their female counterparts, chanting MVP towards Susie French. I'm not sure if that will happen in the next few minutes. But a great performance for Central Maine at these national championships. They can hold their heads high, and they'll be back next season, trust me.
This is Stutz late in the shot clock. When you look at Central Maine, as Malone drives and loses the ball, picked up by Central Maine, they'll have probably one more shot. They really didn't play a bad game. They just couldn't hit their open shots today, and that's sometimes the peril of playing 3 games in 3 days. The legs are a little bit weaker, can't get as much under those shots. And Central Maine didn't hit their shots today. Claremont's going to run out the clock, and UC Claremont, with a 69-51 win, has become the Division II national champions. And an outstanding performance today by Claremont. They deserve this 100%.
Absolutely, Terry. You get the halftime talk, you get your troops ready to go into battle. That's exactly what the Lady Cougars did, and they thoroughly deserve this double-digit win.
Central Maine came in as the 1 seed. They had just 2 losses all season coming into today. They've had a great season, and congratulations to them for that. But today does belong to UC Claremont. They could not have played a much better 20 minutes in today's game. The second half, they took a 3-point deficit into halftime, but outscored Central Maine after the break 38-17. And congratulations to the University of Cincinnati Claremont program, head coach Mike Matthews, and all the girls on this team for their first ever national championship. 69-51, again, the final here, and we have not yet seen who the MVP of the tournament will be. My guess is Stacy Lee is going to be honored in about 5 to 10 minutes when they announce that and present the awards, but a credit to Ashley Keith for today's game. She played out of her mind in the second half, and they got some great performances from a few other players as well. Tess Jenneke didn't shoot the ball so much today, but she was a big player throughout this tournament and throughout this season. And Dana Finney was in double figures today. Kelsey Finn came off the bench, had a good showing. Maggie Malone had double figures points as well. And again, a great game, great season for the University of Cincinnati Claremont. So 2 national champions have been crowned today. The women's brackets are set in stone.
Winner in Division I is Concordia College of Alabama. Winner of Division II is the University of Cincinnati Claremont. 2 men's division championships are coming up later tonight. First, we'll have the Division I championship between Tennessee Temple and Washington Adventist. And then we will have the Division II final between Penn State Beaver and Andrews College. Those games are coming up at 7:15 and 9:45 respectively, and you can see those on the Turbo Sports Group Network. They're about to present the trophies down on the court to UC Claremont. One more time, they defeat Central Maine 69-51. That's going to do it for our broadcast today. Thanks to everybody involved, Buzz Mead, the producer, our cameraman, Wes Lloyd, and, of course, Matt Digby, who's gone down on the floor to conduct his post-game interview. So I'll wrap this one up right now. Terry Bonadonna signing off for the TSG Network. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the game and the outcome if you're a University of Cincinnati Claremont fan. We'll wrap this one up. You've been watching live coverage of the 2014 USCAA Basketball National Championships hosted by Penn State Fayette on the Turbo Sports Group Network.